Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing great and staying safe and fine. I hope everything is groovy at your end. Today we are going to talk about introduction to ML. This is Lakshit Pant and the host for the session. And today we are having Santosh sir with us, who is talking about going to talk about introduction with ML. And he's data engineer at Cognizant, Microsoft certified trainer, winner of Azure Developer Stories and Azure 6 into certified and a multi-faced personality with technical writer at Medium also. So he's the perfect person to guide you in the topic. So I hope do enjoy the session. Over to you, Santosh.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the great introduction. So we'll start right off. I think you guys can see the slide now.
Yes, it's visible.
Great. So today, what we'll talk about is the 4-day boot camp. So this is the day one of the entire stuff that we are going to have. So we'll have some kind of introduction to the entire Azure AI. We'll go just step by step. We don't have to rush through it. We have 3 days to cover the entire part. We do have a couple of demos. I'll show you what the ML designer looks like today at the end of the talk. And we also have another cognitive services. I'll just code it out in Python. Whichever you're familiar with, you can just translate to it. You can use Java and C Sharp. Anything can you can just replicate the same. So with that said, so hope the introduction went well. I'm fine with that. Let's skip that part. So what we are going to see for the next 3 days, right? So we'll start with the very basic. So if the people who are focusing on this session, like what you have to do is, you have to have just programming skill. Anything would do, but preferably Python, since we have all the libraries, all the frameworks, which is more built on Python and pretty much focused on Python. So it would be really easy for you guys to grasp whatever I'm gonna convey in this 3 days. It would be really easy if you can do it in Python, or else if you want to go with another language, it is absolutely fine. You can just do that. But again, make sure you kind of understand the basics or what is the fundamental knowledge that you're gaining, that you can then translate to whatever language or whatever framework that you want to use. You can just start building on top of that. So, introduction to AI, and we'll talk about what is machine learning, what are the different types that we have, what can be done, and what you shouldn't be doing. And always, as computer vision, you have seen these machine learning models where it detects people with max or not. So that is something that has been that has been going around. You can fake it a little, but there are more advanced models which can detect that whether you're wearing the mask in the right way. So there are some advancements there, and we'll also talk about NLP, which is really important. And if you have seen, Google has come up with, it has been an announcement, I think 2018 or 2019. I have seen that. No, it is called no natural language understanding. So what it does is it kind of reserves. I have seen this demo by Sundar Pichai. If you have seen that, they have this big event at the end of the year, every day, every year they kind of showcase whatever advancements they have made throughout the year. So there was this AI which can reserve, place in the restaurant, or if you are going to a salon for haircut, you can do it. So those are the two use cases that they have shown. But again, you can use in whatever way that you want. But I'm not sure if that is something that we'll talk about in the NLP part on the third day. And as well as conversational AI is something that you might have seen in most of the places. All the bots that you see, all the chat bots and whatever the application that kind of returns something, or it kind of gives you something in back without human intervention, is your conversational AI. So we'll just go through it step by step, pretty slow, so that you guys can understand what is the fundamental base of things. Cool. So we'll start with very base of what is AI, right? So as the day goes, you have been using. It has been a common thing that everywhere you go or every place you go, people talk about AI, and we have this machine learning model doing this part, or this has been automated with machine learning and stuffs like that. So that is something that we have been doing a lot nowadays. When I started with this one, or when 2018 or 2017, it is pretty new. We didn't have a lot of courses to kind of upskill ourselves. We did have only limited resources, and we did have few expertised people, or who has some experience on building and deploying models. But these days, most of the things are automated, and Azure helps a lot in that deployment phase. So I'll talk about that part when we'll have the demo. But again, now AI is something that kind of does or replicates or trying to replicate whatever we do, right? So whatever your decision making skills, so whatever you want to do, like let's say if you want to choose between two colors, right? Maybe a cloth or anything of that sort. If you want to choose something, like where you have to decide, right? You have to use your common sense and decide, which one is the best, or which shoe you want to buy, or which restaurant you want to pick. So all these things you are driven by few of the factors, I would call. Factors would be maybe the rating of the restaurant or your friends' comments. So there are only limited factors that AI can understand, right? Example, the rating, which it can understand, or if you want to go further, which people have been doing, read the comments and see how well or how bad or how good the words that are being used. So we'll talk about that sentiment analysis in the NLP part. But again, that is something you should be mindful of. So that is half the extent, or that is the extent that this has gone through, right? Whatever you have right now, the AIs which operate, or whatever you see right now in your mobile phones or your applications, whatever application that you open, there is some sort of AI. Whatever you see on YouTube, it's a very good example that I can give you. Um, Most of the things which you see are driven by the facts or the things that you have watched in the past, right? So it kind of gives that factor, but it is not just that factor is deciding like this you might like, right? So you might like something different, but you might have watched something else based on your friends suggestion or something like that. That part AI can't understand that. There is nothing that kind of prevents, or there is nothing that it can build that part, since you two only the factors, or only you two guys know, like you and your friend know what your friend suggested and what is that you're going to involve in. So that is something that the YouTube algorithm cannot decide, or it can't even, it can never do that, right? So unless and until you give out that info, or give out that particular piece of information to YouTube or the algorithm, it is never possible that that piece would go out. So with that said, there are some limitations. Again, there are some limitations that AI can go, but few of them have been broken. But I wouldn't say that it is something that we weren't expecting, right? So we did expect whatever we do, they can do better at better in scale, right? If you want to address 100 customers, you can do it. Is manual work, you can definitely do. It will take some time, but AI can do that in faster pace, right? So that is something you should be mindful of, and that is some capability that uh, humans cannot, right? So they have some kind of a limitation where they can do the job, they can do it perfectly, they can go above and beyond. So AI can go just to the max that it is configured or it is being trained, right? So that is one of the drawbacks that people have been focusing on, like how to improve a model or how to improve things once it is deployed. So there is a concept where uh, you can retrain the model, right? Let's say if something is relevant for 1 week, people are more into that, and the next week something else comes up, so the relevant information changes. The first week you might be talking about gaming, the second week you might be watching videos on coding and stuff. You might be start learning Python, or if you want to watch Azure developer community, if you keep watching that, or if you keep subscribing to it or watching their videos continuously, it obviously shows up that particular space. And after some time, if you don't watch it and then you go to something else and then it comes back, and that is where the intelligence comes into picture. So it knows that you no longer, or you have some kind of pass to it or a break to it, and then you're watching something else. Maybe you want to focus on your gaming skills, right? The gaming set of skills, and then there could be a suggestions. There could be suggestions from the actual the YouTube algorithm to kind of have some kind of Azure developer content, Azure developer communities video coming up, the live streams that we are doing. But there could be limitations, right? One, it can't suggest both these. So it is pretty much Azure developer community is a community for technical people. It deals with sessions and stuff. But gaming is altogether, it is completely different apart from someone is talking to you. So that is two different things. You might have seen these kind of behaviors in your when you're going through YouTube or whatever streaming platform that you are having, maybe Twitch, if you're familiar with it. It also has some kind of similar recommendation system, if you want to call it as. So that is something you should be mindful of. It has done most of the things, from painting. I have seen playing games is something that systems are really good at, right? If you have seen Dota 2, it has been beaten thrice. And chess, it is nothing. You have a limited computation, so it is nonetheless. You can just definitely beat that game. Any move that is possible, or any move that you want to make, uh, AI can do it for you, and AI definitely will win even from the start, right? Whoever wants to play it, or if you have three people, it could be in a tie. But again, human errors are there, right? You may not know like what could be the end result of a move. You can predict it to some extent. I'm not saying that if you lose your queen, it is there is some probability that you might lose the game. But again, that depends on the consecutive moves that you make. Not just if you lose the queen, you're out of the match, right? So even I was in a match, then the other person lost his queen with the silly move, then I lost the game. So that is something you should be mindful of. And AIs are really smart at predicting the end result. So whatever moves that you make, it can show you that what is the exact result that this move can have that impact. So whatever the impact factor that this move can make. So that is something that you might have seen even these cricket and football and stuff, where they have like a winning metrics. They have 50-50 at the start, or they might have 60-40, depending upon which teams are playing. So that changes in the course of the game, right? So if let's say if PSG and Juventus play the game, it won't happen. Like just saying that if it happens somewhere, I think it might happen. So if it happens, so you would have if Messi is not there for the first half, then there could be an impact on the probability that PSG could win, right? Again, when you then after halftime he comes in, and that probability could increase just because that he is in the pitch, so it could increase. So that is how the intelligence is going on, how the real time use case of AI is building on top of everything that you see, every move that you see, or every aspect that you see in technology in terms of the technology that you are seeing right now. Right now you can see that there is noise cancellation. You can see, if you want a virtual background, that is with AI, which kind of process the, it is not AI, I would say it is like a more of computer vision thing. But there are models which can do it at real time, feed in the data. It can remove the obstacles, whatever the obstacles that you have maybe in the behind. So that is something, to be exact, that could be an AI model. That may not be as well. If you have a green screen, it doesn't have to be an AI model. So you can just do it with a OpenCV. So that is something you should be mindful of. So that is one thing of AI, and what is how AI works. And there are a lot of examples to talk about. We'll stop with that thing and then we'll skip it out. So slides, I think you can read it out. I don't want to explain whatever there in the slide. And coming to the important aspect, so what are the workloads that we have? What are the Azure workloads, or what are the Azure platforms that you can build? Normal machine learning, if you want to do all the statistics, everything comes under that particular phase of whatever models that you want to deploy. It is the base for everything, and there are different variations of it. So how the model is deployed or in which way it is deployed. uh, Okay. So how in what way it is being deployed? We have some, it is not just these categories. You can categorize it to a lot, deeper. Within that, you could have, for example, anomaly detection, where you can have different areas or different departments that you can focus on. Maybe finance, maybe security. There are different departments that you can focus or where you can branch it out, right? So, and computer vision, as I said, video and audio input, whatever you give. Basic example would be your live stream, uh, video streaming, or if you want to have noise cancellation. I think it is pretty much, I would say, a combination of both. So there are a couple of things that has the combination of both: a static analyzer and machine learning model. Uh, if you see that. NLP part, there are a couple of examples where it kind of where you have to do the pre-processing. So that is the static step. Like, let's say every machine learning model or every model that you want to deploy or what you want to give out, it kind of comes into the static part. Whatever it gives you in the real time or runtime per se, so those would be the stuff that is done internally. That is the output of a machine learning model, which kind of gets the information, whatever the input that you give, kind of does a pre-processing, like a preparation step. So preparation is the same. So every batsman have wears the same bat or holds some different bats. Yeah, different bats, but again they hold a bat at the end. So that is, you might call it as a static one. Like everybody does go through the same, they have the same pad, they have everything the same. They might be difference in the quality and terms and stuff, their comfort and stuff, but again, that is a static part. Whatever half they play the game, the same ball can be played in any way, right? The same goes for a goalkeeper. So they wear the same gloves, same pads again, same shoes if you want to. uh, I think gloves is the pretty much the important stuff for a goalkeeper. So that is something that you should be mindful of, or that is the first step of the static part. And then how they tackle it and how fast they are or how responsive they are, that determines if the ball is getting inside the net or not. So that is the machine learning part of it. So these are some of the basic examples that we talked about earlier, with some kind of an example for you guys to understand. Conversational AI is nothing but a bot. Whatever you see, maybe if you have called FedEx or other delivery services, they have a bot which gives you the first initial step of where to direct people. It will ask for you to enter a number, maybe a code or something. Uh, it kind of gives you some part of some understanding of the basic needs of you. Like, let's say if you want to uh, ask for a query inquiry about parcel that is going to delivered, or the tracking number, if you want to contact the agent, or if you want to cancel an order, all these stuff, it wants to have like a initial load balancing place where it can direct to different departments. So let's say you want to go with um, delivery, and I just want to get the real time update on where my delivery is. Let's say I'm going out of station maybe tomorrow and I want to get the delivery by today, and what is the step that you guys want to take. So that is something that you can be building if you want to. We do have a plan for hackathons and projects. We can help you, we can mentor you in Azure developer communities. Just join our Discord, we'll have a discussion there. uh, so that is something that I want to give you a heads up that we are planning. So kind of talking about in Azure, how you implement. So AI 900, I haven't talked about the certification yet, so I'll talk about that now. So what AI 900 focuses on, right? So that is something that I should have put in the slide, but again, I'll try to talk about that. So machine learning, artificial intelligence, how you deploy models, how you train them, pre-processing, everything you might be aware of, and you might have done it earlier. And the purpose of having an AI 900 certification is that have you do the normal stuff maybe with a Jupyter notebook, or if you're using Kaggle, have you do the same thing more effectively, more smart, in a more smarter way with Azure? Or what are the services that you can leverage in Azure to build those services? So that is something that Azure focuses on every trained AI or certified AI 900 professional should have, or definitely should possess, those skills of how you deploy or how you work with AI inside Azure. So the main focus is on Azure, and your normal machine learning and all your initial steps, how you train it, it is pretty much the same. So you wouldn't be having any difference, you wouldn't have any different type of stuff going around. It would be the same on how what are the services that you can leverage on Azure to accomplish that. So that is something that we focus on this particular certification. Yeah, 900. So data storage, compute services. We'll talk about the machine learning designer that we have, which is formally called machine learning designer, or they have renamed it to Azure Machine Learning. So designer was good, by the way. It has a designer feel to it. It is a drag and drop tool. I'll just show you at the end of the talk. We'll start at 6:45. Since no, just talking about that wouldn't, just if I just show the demo, it would be difficult to understand. So we'll just go with the some couple of slides which I hate. But again, just bear with me for some time. We'll just go over the slides. I'll just explain what are the things that you can expect. And just showing the designer won't help you a lot in understanding stuff. So if we just give you the sword and ask you to spin it, you might hurt someone or you might hurt yourself, right? So you should first show how to do it, or you should have a master of how you have to kind of spin it, or how you want to slash things. So that is something important. So you have also cognitive surveys. I'll try to give you a demo on third day. Third day we have an NLP. I think it is on second day. I'm not sure. So we'll have a demo of cognitive services. I think it is on the second day. Second day we'll have a live demo on how you can deploy a cognitive service, how to access the endpoint, or what are the things that you can build. Or I'll show you what are the things I have built in the couple of months to kind of give you an idea of how you can go further, or how you can utilize things in a better way. And bot services is something that I haven't really explored on. I have used Dialogflow, Google's Dialogflow, but I have not. Since it cost you a little, it is not like a free hands-on that you can get. So that is something that I haven't, kind of gotten into. Great. Um, so what are the things that challenges and risks that we have when AI comes into picture, right? um, no, it is something that you should be more people are focusing on this right now. More people have started seeing this as something a real, I wouldn't say a threat, but being conscious of what is AI can do. So if you're training a model for a loan approval, right, there could be a bias which is not induced by the developer, right? If it is not they really wanted to introduce the bias, the model could be biased without the intention, right? There could be any bias of that sort. I don't want to name any, but there could be bias of any sort. There could be uh, ways that model can train. So you never know how the model is getting trained, right? So it is like a black box, or it is like a net which you can't you can decouple it if you want to. You can just see what are the weights, what are the numbers. You can definitely see that if you're using DenseNet. You can definitely print it out the weights. Of course you can do it, but you never know how the weights come in the first place. You have the math behind that, but again, what are the formulas that you implement, right? How it kind of goes into how much data that you give. You can definitely compute that if you really want to. Since the data is static, that this is what the weight would be on the model side. So this thing, the weights and bias, is something that core AI developers should be knowing. But again, since we have all these modules and packages, uh, already available for us to build on top of. TensorFlow is there. If you want to go with that, it is pretty much easier way to start. Or scikit-learn is the really easier one to start. Uh, TensorFlow is something advanced. You can use neural networks for it, but since I don't want to get too technical on this one, but there are modules which you can use. You don't have to write any formulas, which I did. We do have these Yantro contest every year from IIT Bombay. That was the first time that I got introduced with AI. So we have to write all these math formulas. We have to translate that into Python code. So that is how I started. So you can see what is the scope that we have now. So you don't have to even write a single piece of code or snippet to get a model ready with automated AI. So I'll talk about that as well once we have the designer up and running. So automated machine learning is something that every field or every company wants to. So it is not perfect. I would say that it is not perfect. It is the words of the developers itself. I have seen a couple of talks where they talk about that. It is not perfect, but you would get an idea of how things are. So maybe about your data, how your data can be trained, how your data is, or maybe a mental map of how your data is just static, how your data has come through as a raw data, right? So there could be places where you can say that this type of people are not, having burgers. So that is something that we can really have. That is something that you can really use when designing. But those analytics and those metrics is induced automatically. So you don't have to do any sort of pre-processing. It kind of does everything on its own. And we also have Visual Studio. If you have used it, you similar stuff, you can just install a package. I forgot the name of that, but you can definitely use that to kind of train anything. Like just upload a CSV file, uh, you know sort out the columns of what are the columns that you need for training and what is the column that has to be predicted. And I think you might have this everything already built in. I have used one of that sort for the loan payment stuff, where you can just give them if the loan can be approved or not. So I have created a small data set, very small, then you can train it for n number of times. So that is something you that would be giving you a zip file where you can. That thing is pretty much you don't have to code anything. There is both command line and there's a method that you can call if you want to use it in that way. Just give the inputs, whatever the inputs that you have given the model to train. Just create a class, feed in the file, just send it across, load the model, and then get the output. So that is something you can do. You can just try out if you want to. That is something super cool that you can start off with. Or if you want to go jump in Azure, you can definitely do that as well. So risks, we wouldn't be talking about a lot of these part. We'll talk about more on the next slide, which is really important that more people are focusing on these days. One of that is fairness. These things are some of the primary aspects of which they haven't talked about when the things have been built. Right, when you build something new, it is very new, that it can't be, or it is not just showing out. It is not showing out the true color, if you want to call it that way. So nobody focused on these aspects: fairness, privacy and security, reliability, inclusiveness, transparency, accountability. So these aspects, there are few if you want to add to it. And data privacy is something that people are talking about right now. Right, we have had Web 2 10 years or 15 years back. Back then we are feeding data, and people are talking about data privacy now. For maybe the past 3 years or so, people are being more they want some kind of a privacy. They didn't care about privacy earlier. So it is the same case for AI as well. Nobody cared about how the prediction is made and why the prediction is made. They just want the prediction. So that is something that they did focus on, rather than finding out how the prediction was made, or they didn't cross verify. There are places where you can do that. Maybe if you're predicting no, I did a project where you can just upload your blood sample, and then it kind of gives you whether you have leukemia or not. Leukemia is nothing but the blood cancer. So trained physician would know that if this is the sample of the blood or this is half the texture it looks like, he can validate that. He can definitely validate that this could be one of the causes, or this could be the factor that decides that this person could have it. So that is something you can verify. But other stuff, as loan prediction, or if you want to go with other sample predictions, if the stock market will go up or not, so those kind of things we don't have like a solid proof or a solid knowledge base where you can get that out. So for example, for these medical records and other medical use cases, we do have a definite answer, right? A physician, a trained physician can say that the model is wrong, it is predicting in the wrong way, and this guy is all right, he can go home. They can say that. But for other places where we don't have a solid person to do, let's say nobody knows how the stock market would go, if the war would end or not. Nobody can predict which day would end, right? There have been predictions like 3 days, everyone would surrender. Those kind of stuff, nobody can predict it perfect 100%. There could be, if you shoot at every possible answer to it, we don't have like a infinite possibility answer. We do have a finite possibility. It could end in 1 year. You can just definitely say any date within a year where this could end, and that could be the right answer. So we do have a finite possibility. But if, let's say, if you have an infinite possibility, so you can't get it right, of course. So that is something that we, as a company, any company that you take or focusing on right now, and Microsoft is really focused on these areas of how AI treats people, how AI gives the equality. So that is something that I don't want to really touch upon. But again, I'll just give a glimpse of what AI is doing. Or another important part is the accountability. So let's say Tesla, you will take up Tesla as an example. So you turn on autopilot and the car crashes. So there have been multiple cases where the car has crashed. So who is accountable for that? If a life is lost, right? If the pedestrian is killed with AI, so who is accountable for doing making the AI that bad? So nobody intentionally does that, right? They want to make everything perfect. They want to have the most perfect model out as possible. But there could be places where it could go wrong. So we never know how the dynamics of the world could change anytime. It is never possible that you can say that this AI can, you can never replace a human with AI. But there could be places where you can do, where it can be smarter, faster. But for these kind of situations where you have to make real time decisions or real time analysis of the surrounding, so that is something that AI, they can process stuff, right? It is not that they don't have the capability to process stuff, but it can't have since AI has been trained, they don't have like a knowledge base that we do. We do have some experience. We have seen stuff. We do have videos. We have as a real person, we know that this could happen or this might take place. So that is something that AI can't manipulate, or AI can't do it by itself. It has to come from somewhere. It has to it has to be fed with data. So that is something that AI can't do. So that is, we are safe in that space. But accountability is now, who's accountable for that kind of an incident? So let's say if it doesn't happen, let's say if it does happen. So in any case, who's accountable for both these, right? So let's say it is performing better, who will be accountable for it? Whose Twitter accounts would be, whose tweets would be higher, or whose tweets would go out. Or if something bad happens in the same case, if the car crashes, we have seen a lot of crashes lately as well. If you just Google it out or bring it out, the latest crashes, you will get it. So it is not perfect anyway. People are using it on the way, and it is on the roads as well. But it happens. Nobody can stop it. They can if they want to, but they just want to have it going. But again, the thing that you have to understand is these are the stuff that you should be aware of. So these are the terminologies that has just come in. We haven't had, as I said, we didn't care about data privacy. We were using WhatsApp, Gmail. Nobody cares where they come from, how they give it for free. And now people have started talking about, they're using their my data to sell ads and make billions of money. That is how they use my data, and that is how they can provide free services. So that is people are worrying about right now. So you can definitely stop it if you want to. Again, you can uninstall stuff. That is something that you can definitely do, but it is pretty hard to kind of do that again. So inclusiveness on all these topics, you can just it is not just I have to explain these. Just the terminologies would work. So the accountability part is something that I want to focus on, since it involves life, right? It is not just if it is a loan prediction, nobody cares. Nobody's going to die because of that. There might be situations, but it is not predominant as uh, uh, Tesla car killing someone. So that is a factor, or that could be a possibility. People are using it. Cars is out. Anything could happen. So that is focusing on those aspects, or at least having some kind of knowledge. And AI 900 focuses on these aspects as well. They keep updating the question bank, so it kind of refreshes. So everything that is up to date on the uh, link that you see below, you can definitely use that, or you can use as well docs.microsoft.com. You can have the Microsoft Learn page where you can read more about AI. So far, we have been talking about these aspects. What is AI, and what are the loads, what are the workloads that we have in Azure, and how you can use that in Azure. And the final part that we talked about is responsible AI. So now we'll come to the important part. So since I talked about the neural network, TensorFlow and stuff, you might be wondering how you implement that. But this is something that we'll talk about right away. So this is something that I want to cover today. I hopefully I'll do that. So first three are some, I would say, classification or major three aspects on how the machine learning model is deployed, or why it is deployed, or how the way that it is used. Let's say based on the use case. These are the major, or these are the only classifications I would say. There could be an addition to it, but I don't think that would come inside. But again, these are the primary classification of how things can go. Um, so regression is something where if you want to predict something, if you want to, no, let's say in the stock market, you want to see if the stock would go up or not. Classification, as I said, if someone is having blood cancer or not. And clustering is really important, and pretty much we haven't really touched upon that. It is pretty much simple as the name suggests. Clustering is grouping of stuff. So if similar data types or similar, you can consider it as a list if you want to, a list of immutable or mutable single data typed values. So you can just cluster or separate them by that space, right? So if you put an integer, then it goes as an integer. If you want to put it as a string, it goes as a string. If you want to put it as an array, it goes an array. So that is something you should be, you can see. And we'll see the designer part. I'll show you in a sec how the designer looks like. And this is the automated machine learning that I was talking about. Since that is not perfect, as I said, it is not perfect to just give that CSV file or whatever the data or whatever the data is. Just give them a data, just compute the model, and no, it won't work. It might work in few cases where the data is super clean, super precise, ready for prediction, or ready to train, ready to be trained. But other cases where you have raw data, you have to sanitize it, you have to do some pre-processing, formatting, all these stuff it is involved before you kind of start your training process. Okay, we'll see how the model is built, or what is the exact use case of a model. So as I said, it kind of gives you a model can tell yes or no, or it can give you yes, no, maybe. It can give you, you know let's say you can also tag. Let's say you give out a movie, red notice, how it was, a criminal one, action one. You can just label things, right? So that is also something the model can give you out. So in this example, we'll have I think three types, I guess. So we have three type of flowers if you can consider. So let's say if you are a normal person, how would you classify these flowers? Just put it in the chat. So just by looking at it, how a human could tell that this is something that I can tell that if that is this, let's say we have one, two, three flowers, and how would you tell that this flower right here, you can definitely tell if I show you another flower of this kind. You can say that how would you relate this flower to this one? So both are same. We know that. So how would you relate? So these and these are same. So how would you say that, or what is the metrics, or what are the factors that goes into your mind to tell you that this is same as this one, or this is same as this one, or this is same as this one? Okay, shape, structure, petal count. So don't say the example that we have. So what is like a common, like a don't think of it a machine learning based solution. Just think of a normal man. If I just give you something in random, let's say I give you guns, right? So you have clock, you have desert eagle. So if you give you random, pistols, and ask you to classify, so what is the first thing that you would see, or what is the first aspect that you would see? The clustering. Okay, so I think you might be a little bit confused on clustering is one way. So people have started, doing it in two phases. Once you cluster, then you can do okay color, smell, yeah. So yeah, so that is the human nature, right? So if we that a machine can't do. The machine can't smell a flower. So that is the thing that I was expecting. So who said that? Feel it up. So that is the human aspect of how we classify a flower. So my apologies, I should have said that how what is the sense that you would use to detect. So yeah, so that is the human nature of detecting it. So what is the so other aspects, what are the answers that you guys gave? It is a metric based or a number based, so that you can measure stuff. You can't, you can tell that this smells good, this smells too good, or the smell is really nice. So those metrics that you can make, but again that is something you can define, that you can't define, sorry, you can't define that smell. Some guy might have cold, so he might smell it and say that I don't get any smell. So that is something that you can see. But other stuff that you have answered based on the color or based on the shape, petal count, that is the exact thing. If you are looking for no, that this is not a raw data. So raw data would be an image. So you should count the petal count. So, but that again, it depends on how the data is, or what is the data that you get to train a model. So it depends on that. You will get the petal shape, size, and other areas that you can focus on. Color is something that you can really see, pretty easy. You can use uh, the color to distinguish flowers, but again, there are a couple of flowers with the same color, so that is also difficult to classify with that one aspect. So one particular thing, you can't just tell that okay, this if this part is there with this flower, and if this is not here, and I can say that this could be this one, or this is not this one. So you can't say that. Why? If you're comparing only with these two, or if you have the knowledge base of only these, you can say that this is something different and this is something different. Let's say I have something very similar to this one, pretty much close, 95% close. Maybe a rose with a different color. There could be the same shape, or there could be different flowers. I can't just guess someone. But again, if it's a pretty close, if you don't have that knowledge base, your machine learning model has only these flowers, and that is what we are talking about. The knowledge base is the key for any machine learning model that you are describing, or if you want to build. If you don't have the knowledge base, if you don't expand the knowledge base, the machine learning model becomes useless in this world of upcoming stuff. People come up new stuff every day, so that is difficult. And then what you do, you this is the complete knowledge base that you have. The knowledge base you gather and train something. I don't want to use the head, but again, uh, just give it, let's say, what was this, and it kind of says something. So this is something you should really focus on. What is the knowledge base that I have, or this kind of suits the problem that is in my hand. So do I have to solve a problem that is now, or I have to solve something for 10 years? So Jeff Bezos, if you know, solves the problem for 10 years, working on something that is 5 years from now. So that is something that is pretty same with the machine learning model. So I can talk about this as well. I'll just go through this really quick. Again, so we do have the temperature, and I think this is some metrics where you can cycle stuff out, right? How much cycle that is rented per, if the temperature is of this kind. So this is something really interesting. So what happens is you have two metrics. Which one? The part is on the top. This is the temperature data, right? So what is the temperature of the day? And I think it is in Fahrenheit. And this one is how many number of cycles that people have rented. So let's say if it is a hot day, nobody wants to cycle. It's pretty obvious. We know that fact. We know the fact. We have that knowledge base that if it is hot, nobody goes for cycling, or at least most people don't prefer to go for cycling. So that is the knowledge base that as a humans that we have. But the model, we can't just impart that knowledge. We can't just tell that, if it is hot, you have to do it. Or that is maybe a little bit metrics. So for these two, just one column, it is fine. You can just tell the model that if it is above 70.5 or 60.7, then it is a hot day. People rent it this much. But you can say that this is hot or cold, but again, you cannot say that, the number of cycles. So that is where you need a regression model to tell you what exactly or how exactly you can split. So there are formulas that you want to keep in mind. I don't want to take a max class over here, but again, just plot it. Of course, have to plot something with an x and y. So 56, it would be somewhere over here, and 150 or 15, it could be somewhere over here. So it is perfect that the plotting is okay. So this is how you plot, and no. So what happens is, so how do you know that? Let's say I give you a number 63. So what is the number of cycles that people might have used? So any guess, or like a human guess? So how would you say that if the day is 63, just by looking at the data that you have before you? So this is the table that you have. Just by looking at this 63, what could be the count? I just need a 3-digit number. So okay, we do have two answers. Yes. So 132. So we do have a formula for solving this. Again, I can tell you that. But again, how we think is, in this particular aspect, we are not really good, right? Since you can see that, you can tell that you can in between, right? Someone has said in between. So that is something that we can tell as a human, that this could be between the range. We can't tell it perfectly, but a machine learning model can tell the exact number of how this could roll out, right? So I'll tell you how. So you draw a line, right? So this is a common data point. So let's say if this is this one, so it is a simple problem of having just don't think of it as a math. Don't think of anything difficult. Right? Just think of something. If this guy with this capability has this guy with this kind of capability, what could he have? So that is the simplest example that I could think of right now. But again, you can think of something of that kind. Don't get into this math. You can get into it, but just for understanding, for people who are new, if you're finding the median, that is like the thing that you have to do. But again, just as a normal person, you're just coming into new into the AI and stuff. Just think of this way, how we would find the answer. So you will get a sense of how the machine does that in a effective way, or it may not do it in an effective way. So that would give you an idea of how that things have it is not thinking, by the way. It is just having, as I said, a knowledge base. It kind of refers to it, and then it kind of gives you out. So this is something that you can use, and you can find you have a formula of doing it, and just substitute the value of x, and then you get the exact number. So this is something you can definitely try out with any of the examples, and you can see. But this is something that we guys can do. Like as a human, we can't just tell the exact number. We can do that if you know this math, but again, if you're, let's say, if we don't have maths, right? So let's say if you go to BCs, and even before dinosaur age, if we go to that space, and not have math, we can just say that if this guy has, let's say, simple example, if Rome has so many rivers, they would obviously don't be thirsty, or these many seasons they would have water to feed the people. So that is something you can see. And if another, let's say in Africa, there are less rivers, less water, heat is high, the temperature is high. So that is a human classification, like a human distinguishing. Let's say if the water level is this much, this could last for this long. If the dam's water level is 100 feet, this long, people can hold to it, or we can feed these many people for this long. So that is a, again, if you have the metrics, it is pretty much a machine can do it. If you don't have a metrics, that is something people are trying to convert those metrics, right? That is something people have been working a lot on, how to convert this into metrics. So I'll stop with this one. So validation, I think we don't have time for that. I'll just show you the portal which I really want to, instead of just showing you these slides. It is pretty much boring. Even I have to just change it every time. I'll just show you the portal, how it looks like, so that it kind of you get to know how to work on this.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thanks, Santosh, for the beautiful insights of Azure ML today. So guys, this is the first day of bootcamp of AI 900, AI
Let
900
me
today,
see
and
if
we
they
will
can
be,
share that.
yeah. So if you have any questions, guys, so you just let us know in the comment section. We have still some minutes left, so we can take up some questions regarding, if you have any questions regarding the certification coupons, or regarding the topic today, or anything whatsoever you have. Otherwise, this is the Discord link. This is the Discord link from our side, so do join this Discord channel, and over to you, Sam.
Okay, this is something that I really want to show you. So as I said, we do have modules to do it. As I said, TensorFlow and other stuff. I hope the screen is visible now. Cool. So we do have the TensorFlow and other stuff to do it. But since we know that, since we started with Photon, right, for programming, and then we moved to C, C++, Java, and Python. So all these things, then we came to no code, low code. So this is the era of revolution. We don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. Every time someone has to code things out, it is really hard. People can't do it, or people are really lazy to do it, and it is okay to be lazy. Since we have the technology, we don't have to work a lot We don't have to sweat a lot to kind of do the work. So what happens is just give it the data. You can just drag it from any of the data source that we have. We do have a data set. Not sure why I chose this, but again, something came in random. I just chose something. So you can see a pipeline kind of a structure where it goes step by step. As I said, what we do, just load the column. It obviously executes a Python script, and as you see in the slides, it kind of splits things, train, test. So I'll talk about this when we actually implement it. We didn't have time today to cover this part. We'll just try to cover this part, tomorrow before we start. So train and split data. So why we do this? Okay, I think if we start explaining this, it could get a little bit longer. So we'll stop with this one. So this is how a designer looks. I just want to show you the designer since that thing came up. Question would be more of what are the various modules that you can use or how you connect with stuff. So more questions would be on this. Make sure you have that knowledge of how a designer even looks. So at the final stage, you just execute a script. This is half the train. So this particular gray, the black box that you see, this is where stuff's trained. I think I can show you this way. So stuff strain, you score a model. You score it. That is where we have the validation. I'll talk about in depth on this. But this is how the flow works. At the end, you have a model which you can just give it a number, as we have seen in the first example. Just give it a temperature, whatever temperature that you want to give. Just give it, and then it gives you an output stating that this is the exact number, or this could be variation if it is in classification. It could give you the probability of this is the best that I can give, or this is the probability that this could be right. So that is something that a designer can tell you in upfront. Cool. Okay, that is, I think, the stuff that I want to talk about right now. So any questions that we have? Okay, ML can be predict the model or the functionalities. I'm not sure what exactly the functionalities that you're talking about. So what we can do is whatever the humans or whatever the decision making stuff, the decision making part of anything can be automated. So anything for that example. So even this question could be answered by an NLP bot if it has that knowledge base again. So that is something you should definitely look up to. What is the thing that you need? There are ton of stuff, functionalities in the sense. A lot of things can go through or come through, but uh, predicting is one aspect of the machine learning. Whatever we have seen just now is one aspect to it. There are models which can generate stuff. So I'll talk about that the third day, right? How you can generate stuff, how you can invent stuff. So that is something that we haven't seen maybe 4 years or 5 years back. We have just seen you have something in hand, just tell that this is good or bad, decision making part. But we have built something really crazy. We have moved to the step where it can generate something of its own, right? I'll show you a video if you want to, where IBM bot, Watson bot is competing with competing in a debate competition. So that is something just phenomenal that we have built. So that was something we had earlier, but we didn't have any use case for it. Use case is something different from all these crazy models people built. This is, you should really understand why you need it, why you need a model, and why they have built it in the first place. So what kind of predictions they're using for stock market? You can definitely ask. We have seen X, Y. We have two variables. We'll just stop with this question. So X, Y, we have two variables, and Y is the number of predictions that you want to make. Let's say that is the stock price, and X could be one factor, or there could be 100 factors, 1,000 factors. You can have any number of factors. So how in a real world situation the stock market work? There could be the machine learning can't do that, right? It can be the war between Ukraine. Nobody knows that. No, nobody has that knowledge base. So if you have built a model 6 months back, nobody knew that this is going to come up, or nobody has introduced this bias to the model that at this point in time, this could go down or this could come up. No, nobody has decided that. So those are the things that we can't model it out. But basic stuff would be the historical data, how the market has performed, or how that particular stock has performed. Let's say, Microsoft example, MSFT. So how good it has performed over the year. So that is something you can definitely see, uh, so that you will get an idea of how you can build the model. So that is the model that these guys have built so far with the historical data. So regression is, we don't have to have something out of the box. We just know how the stock market has performed over the years, maybe 50, 60 years, how it has performed, or even more than that, how it has performed. So with that basic knowledge, that is the only knowledge that we have. Since, as I said, that is the only metrics that we have. Whatever can be made into metrics can be modeled it out or maybe added into as a feature, but whatever metrics or whatever the things that you can't make it as a metric, that is something. As example, for this war, you can't just tell that this month these two guys would fight, and you can just tell next month US and Russia would fight. You can't just have some kind of a calculation to that. It could happen anytime. It is really random. You definitely can't predict that, of course. So those are the places that you can't do it, and stock market prediction would fail at that time. Nobody, that as a person, you see the news, you get updated. You can definitely try building a model of that sort where it kind of you feed in the news and other data. But again, I don't think that even works. You just need series of very serious pre-processing to introduce that particular bias. So bias, what I'm saying is that, let's say if it wants to, the stock market is gonna go 50 percentage or 150 percentage or 200 percentage higher. You just need a matrix which tells that this is the part where it can go higher. So you just need that particular knowledge which has to be updated, maybe every hour, every 2 hours, every month. It depends on what is the type of application that you're building. So stock market, you should definitely update it every day, or even every. It wouldn't make sense to update it every day since you don't have any data for a single day. In between, you don't have anything that is happening, but this could happen. These sort of events could occur at any time. Historical events, I wouldn't say it's historical events, but these could happen at any time. You can't just make a model which can give you the right prediction at these tough times. So that is really, if someone is doing that, I would be really surprised to see. I don't think that you can definitely do that, but there are ways that you can do. But you have to have the sense of, as I said, this is the time that these guys fought, and this is the next time that these guys would fight again. So that is the kind of more knowledge that you have to impart that machine learning model, or you have to feed in that particular data as a. We have seen the X, right? You have to have another variable, X1, X2, whatever variable that you want. Uh, Maybe let's say X1. This is something that, let's say, for a month, this is the month that these guys fought, and I can predict that maybe after 2 years these guys would fight again. So that is something really hard to model. You can model it out, and it won't be perfect in any way. So that is something that you can be mindful of. One, there are a lot of things that you can do and you can't do. This is something that you can't do. So yeah. So hope that answers your question. Great. So I think we have the Discord link again. I think it is being scrolled down. So that is something that you guys can join right away. Get access to all the channels that we have. Make sure you put it to good use. All the updates of the events or the next day updates, all the feedback forms, we would roll it out. Everything via that space. So make sure you utilize that. Whatever we kind of put in effort to organize these events. Organizers putting in effort. I have to put some effort. So all these things are just to make sure that we kind of share stuff, right? So we don't want to have the knowledge base just to ourselves. So that is one of the important part of how we contribute to the community in the first place. But this is something that we really wanted to do. We just want to convey stuff, or we just want to show that this is something that people have been doing, or this is you can improve your knowledge. So again, so this is something that you can start building on. This is a great platform. I didn't have any great platform or great mentors that if you can just reach out, right? You have a golden opportunity that you can definitely do. uh, that is something you can leverage, right? We haven't had these many communities, growing up. When I had, doing my college, 2016, 17, I didn't even know there is a developer community that existed, but I didn't know that how to access that. So you guys have how many? We have 70 people right now. You guys have the access, or you have the knowledge base access right in front of you. Just make sure you utilize it to the most. Or if you want to share it with your friends, you can definitely do. Or if you want to learn, and if you want to also kind of share your knowledge, you are most welcome to do. So Discord, I think feedback. I think we have the feedback link in the chat. Yes. So I'll just join the Discord link. We'll share that once again. Uh, okay, feedback link is up. So you can definitely join that. You can fill it out, and definitely join the Discord channel. Highly recommend you do that, so that we could have, just live for 1 hour is really difficult to kind of impart everything, or a boot camp is difficult. So you have to work on yourself. You have to work out, do stuff, get the access of the portal. Just do stuff so that it is pretty easy. Uh, you know, to understand, you have to work it out. You can't just simply stare at the screen and try to get the knowledge. So walkthrough, I'll do that tomorrow. We don't have time today, so I'll definitely walk you through what is exactly happening and each and every step, so that you guys can understand how things work. Great. Stop sharing then.
Okay, perfect, guys. So the feedback form. Okay, so the feedback form is in the your screen, main screen. So do fill the feedback form, and we have already shared our Discord channel link. Last day there will be a quiz, and on the basis of quiz winners, we will be announcing the swags winners also. And about the coupons, you will be getting the Microsoft certification coupons on the last day, and we will be announcing the process. You have to attend whole 3 day bootcamp to get the certification and swags, everything. So guys, thank you for joining in, and thank you. I really like to thank Santosh sir for joining in as a speaker and giving beautiful insights about Azure ML. It was the wonderful day one session, and let's meet you tomorrow, guys. Then, okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks, sir, Santosh sir, for joining in. Every
See
link
you guys
is in
tomorrow.
the bio. Let me share the Discord link again. See you guys tomorrow at the same timing.